Hi, I'm Danielle. Welcome to my perfume journal. In a recent video, I shared some of my favorite polite perfumes, the perfumes in my collection that are a little more inconspicuous, the ones I wear when I might be around more people. But in this video, I am sharing a few of my favorite impolite perfumes, the ones I wouldn't necessarily wear around too many other people. These are my sassy little Rouge fragrances, the ones I tend to enjoy at home, or if I know I'll be outdoors, or in the company of other people who love perfume as much as I do. And before we get started, I am so upset. I just dropped one of my perfume bottles on my little tray here and I chipped the end of it. I'm going to see if I can find some glue so I can fix the piece that sort of fell off. Hopefully you can't really see where it is, but I'm so sad about my perfume tray. So in the category of impolite perfumes, I have to start out with Theo Fennell scent. If you've never heard of this perfume before, neither did I until about a year or two ago when I heard my friend Fliss talking about this on her podcast Les Odorants. Immediately, this perfume piqued my interest. First of all, it is an affordable gem, or I should say it was an affordable gem, because right now it is a price-gouged, discontinued gem that I happened to get in the EDT and the EDP versions when it was still affordable on secondhand sites. This perfume was created by Christophe Laudamiel, who, in my opinion, is one of the most brilliant perfumers of our time. He is a champion of perfumers and the art of perfumery, and his creations are some of the most interesting scents I have ever smelled. So Theo Fennell scent is a vintage style floral chypre. If I hadn't heard about this from Fliss and I hadn't heard that Christophe Laudamiel was the nose behind it, just being a vintage style floral chypre would have drawn me to it. This perfume is exceptional. This perfume was created in 2006, but if I smelled this in a blind sniff test, you would not be able to convince me that it wasn't a perfume from the 1980s. Because like many of its predecessors, this is not a perfume that you can describe with like opening, mid, and base notes. This is a perfume that just feels a certain way. It feels vintage. You can see from the note list how it leans into its vintage roots. It is thick and sultry and heady and animalic. It feels like it intends to be noticed. It is impolite in the best possible way, and it is my favorite perfume on this list. So I have talked about this perfume before. This is Michael from Michael Kors. This is the biggest, loudest tuberose perfume that I own, and I love it for that. Now, this is definitely a perfume that could make a person who doesn't like white florals feel either extremely nauseous or give them a splitting headache. So this perfume is a blend of huge, heady white florals, mostly tuberose. It has this very unctuous sweetness to it and this sweet and spicy kind of undertone that I think comes from the blend of the tamarind spice and the musky woody base. It is a tuberose perfume that shouts its presence through a bullhorn. There is nothing quiet about it at all. So L'Interdit Rouge from Givenchy is the perfume that almost got me kicked out of family Christmas. I had only ever smelled this perfume before at perfume counters, and I loved what the atomizer was giving me and what I smelled in the cap. But as this was a Christmas gift, I had never actually sprayed it on myself before. So I opened the box and I doused myself in it, and I probably should have known after the first spray that 10 sprays on a thick winter sweater was a pretty bad idea. But I went ahead and did it anyway, and within seconds, the room was filled with this haze of tuberose, jasmine, patchouli, the spiced ginger, and the sound of everyone retching. I'm just kidding. Not the retching, but almost. Everyone was highly offended by my choice of scent. I loved it, but it was a bit too much, so I did change into a t-shirt for the rest of the day. Okay, so who thought it was a good idea for 16-year-olds to wear Ysatis? The 80s, that's who. This was my gateway Impolite perfume. So very much like Theo Fennell's scent, this perfume and other very aldehydic, animalic floral chypres like it, they are very, very hard to describe in like terms of notes or accords. These are perfumes that I think are best described in stories, in feelings, emotions, memories. And so I went back to an old journal entry, and this is what I once wrote about Ysatis. I've had this skyscraper bottle since the late 80s, maybe the early 90s. Of all the perfumes I wore and loved in the 80s, this is one of the few that were emptied and replenished multiple times. This is the third or fourth bottle of Ysatis I've owned. Ysatis is a huge yellow floral woody chypre and one of the best examples of an 80s power frag. There is absolutely nothing shy about her. She is shoulder pads so wide she has to turn sideways to walk through the door. Ysatis is the most dramatic Alexis Colby Crystal Carrington catfight. Putting nostalgia and all my feels aside, Ropion's Ysatis is one of the greatest chypres ever created. I should mostly promise myself to stop yammering about the good old days when perfume releases felt special and I didn't look out my window to see who was walking on my lawn. I despise perfume snobbery and think people should buy and wear what they love, no matter the brand, the price point, or the style, but I do wonder, in 40 years, how many of today's releases will be talked about, sought after, or remembered? Which perfumes of today will be the Ysatises of the future? Only time will tell. Here we have the perfume that broke my tray. This is Secret Obsession from Calvin Klein. Now, one would think that the original Obsession is the Impolite perfume, but no, it is this flanker, Secret Obsession. Obsession is the amber perfume that nurses the same glass of wine all night long at the party so she doesn't get too out of control. But Secret Obsession is the guest who has one too many and ends up doing the embarrassing Elaine dance from Seinfeld, if you know that reference. Secret Obsession is that much more boozy and that much less refined than the original Obsession, I think. It's dressed up in a beautiful plummy color. It's got a strand of white flowers around her neck, but underneath it all, she's just a little bit messy. Obsession is the friend you want to hang out with all the time, and Secret Obsession is the friend you want to hang out with once in a while. So this is Ghost Deep Night. There, to me, is nothing polite about a night blooming flower. Night bloomers are heady, they are intoxicating, very provocative florals that can make a perfume anything but polite. And in this perfume, we have Datura, which is also known as the Devil's Trumpet because of the shape of the blooms and because it has a very, very strong toxicity to it. So the scent of Datura is thick and sweet. It's less like jasmine and more like honeysuckle, but make it the nighttime version. And on top of the Datura in this, there is a note of Belle de Nuit flower, and that is better known as moonflower, which is another very heady nighttime floral that smells a little bit more like gardenia, but make it sultry gardenia rather than fresh gardenia. And then top all of these florals off with some very syrupy stone fruits, some vanilla, and some woods, and you have yourself a perfume that is better suited for more impolite company. And finally, I am offering up Ralph Lauren's Romance Elixir as one of my more impolite perfumes. So when it comes to raspberry, rose, violet perfumes, I would say that they're almost always polite in nature. They're light and powdery. They kind of smell like the inside of a silk cosmetic bag or a purse. But Romance Elixir takes that more innocent, cosmetic-y, powdery scent profile and turns it into a vampy seductress. It is rich with patchouli and benzoin and vanilla. You cannot miss this perfume when she walks into a room. The scent trail, it's almost visible in the air. And a lot of perfumes slap on the word elixir to varying degrees of accuracy, but in this case, I think Ralph Lauren really meant it. Romance Elixir is on the more polite end of my impolite perfumes, but I am still kind of careful about where I wear it. I hope you had some fun watching this video of my more impolite perfumes. Of course, I use that term very tongue-in-cheek. I would love to know what perfumes you have in your collection that you would consider more impolite scents, the ones that you might be a little bit more cautious to wear around other people maybe. Thank you so much for watching, for spending your time with me, and for chatting perfumes with me in the comments. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.